recording. All right. And Friday, October 31st, 2025 at 2:08 p.m. Eastern Time. Happy Halloween cast. And Tom said none of us are. And I was just telling you guys how I just got back on YouTube a couple weeks ago after being banned for 5 years. And the only costume I had is an episode is from an episode last October 7th I did with my Jewish friend Drew Bob. And he had on just he had on like traditional Hasidic stuff, and I had on like a Hamas headscarf and a chest of dynamite. And that's the only Halloween costume I have, but I just got back on YouTube and I'm like, I kind of want to stay on, so I didn't put it on. Maybe I'll put it on. But what Dave was just saying is, do you analyze the comments? And I was going to say, no, never. Nothing ever good comes from comment sections.
Well, I find occasional good
And
from
for
them,
anybody
but
listening, go to the
but
description, follow all their Twitters, all their podcasts, all their Patreons, all their writings. Sorry, keep going, Dave.
There are
or
some good
don't.
comment sections on certain blogs. I don't know if you are acquainted with Dave Morgan's blog.
Dave
With the
Morgan, the gold bug, Dave Morgan,
known, I'm sorry, Tim Morgan.
Tim
Tim Morgan.
Morgan.
Yeah, let me see what the name of it is. Um,
But no, I find the comments are primarily cancer. I
Well,
really do.
Generally.
They are.
there certainly there's enough cancer cells there to eventually kill you. That's for damn sure.
Dude, I really.
What
Tim
I know,
Morgan's blog is Surplus Energy Economics, and he's an interesting dude. But
what
the
what I
comments on
found,
his section are very intelligent, and sometimes on Gail Tverberg's blog, Our Finite World, the comments are very, very interesting and extensive.
what
On
I
my
find,
own blog, they're just, it's like a pie fight.
Oh, what's Tom saying?
what I find, and I go on, I get all the podcasts that I go on. I go through the comment sections all the time to see what's going on there, and they respond to people who are thoughtful, and there usually are some. And then you can usually what I note is the lines of attack on about me. They're always the same, and they're always sometimes they're the same person. There's always a group of them. There's always the same.
So they come in waves,
They,
right?
they
They go
come in
bang, bang, bang.
waves.
They come in
Right.
waves, yeah.
They come in waves, and they're all the same talking point over and over and over again. Which is clearly, somebody is, monitoring the threads and trying to derail and destroy the
Yeah,
You
for
conversation.
me,
think
they're
it's
all they're
you
all
think
Jew,
it's a
Jew, Jew.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
fucking
all
A.
that.
Well, it's true. Um,
It is for me. It's
it,
absolutely that. It's
Well,
crazy.
so I haven't been able to figure out if they're bot driven or if, like you said, someone's monitoring and releasing a bunch of manual comments, but
No bots.
they're bots
I
because
think they're bots. I think it's a mixture of bots and
some
intelligence agents.
keyword
That's what I
triggers
think.
it.
Well,
So you say
that's
you
why I
say
don't
something like
engage.
Israel's committing I won't even say it because I don't want to do it.
Right.
But all of a sudden, boom, 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 you hit. The other thing I found is they
No,
rot with time. So if you look at a bunch of comments, the first handful are just people licking your salty balls, how
mhm.
nice you are and how good you are. Then you get into meaty ones, and then if you've been going for a while, you get quite a few. If you put the newest comments first, they're the ones that are trashing the shit out of you. So
Yeah,
so the comments rot with time. I've noticed too.
yeah,
So,
Yeah. The point is to destroy the discourse
Yeah.
and to sow discontent.
is it? Wait a
And
minute, isn't that our job?
that's what I
yeah.
thought. Like I know
We're the
that's what I thought,
propagandists.
but I don't know.
My
They
favorite
are
comment.
always the same.
My favorite comment. I uploaded all the old Bald Ones episode to YouTube, and somebody just kept commenting. They're like, "Tommy, you're very aware that Collum and Luongo are Kremlin shills. Like you know that." And I just said,
Oh,
"Hail."
we're busted.
I just respond, "Hail
We're
Putin," and then
busted.
mute him. That's all I do is just say like "Hail Kremlin" and just mute him. Like, that's
What I
once you get those, I'm
what
like, how do you even engage? I don't. Yes, no, I
so
don't.
what's really funny is that so far since the beginning of this year, I went from being a Putin shill to being a Ziocuck to being an agent of Israel to being, a crazed lunatic because I hate City of London. And it's all the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm just
Well,
like,
that
just
you're not a
hilarious.
big fan of London, I'm told.
No, I'm not. And you'll notice, and what I'm telling you is that the common denominator here is that I'm a big critic of the City of London. That's what I'm getting at, and that's the common denominator about all of those the subplots. Um, as it pertains to me. I don't know. I don't read the comments when you're on your blogs, Dave, or on your podcast, Dave, or Jim's. But I know that for me, I monitor them all the time because I see them. I see the same things in my comment on the commentary threads on my Patreon. Like there are people in my community that are paying me in order to trash me. This has been going on for a long time now. Of course, now I love the fact that they're willing to pay me while they attempt to trash me. It's hilarious and it's funny. I'm like, well, thank you very much for the money.
It's like the Monty Python one where it's like the Monty Python skit where the guy pays to go into a room to get abused.
Right. Yes, exactly. It's like I'm here for an argument.
Isn't that about half the population?
Yes, I am.
Of England?
You're not.
God, it's so bad sometimes.
It is. It's so.
I don't.
It's ridiculous.
I do very little policing of my own blog. I don't like to do it, and
I just don't.
I don't engage much with the commenters.
Well, I don't engage with the comments, but I occasionally look because sometimes there's topics we hit and I want to know. And if it gets dicey, I'm interested in seeing if the Hamas or Zionists or whatever decide to come in and give me holy hell.
I don't know. Just I don't engage with them because like if I'm going to engage with somebody and like they don't like me or they want to argue or whatever, I don't mind if it's on the podcast and it's me and them, or if it's on Twitter and I know it's that person, because that feels like a little more. It's you can challenge it and face it, but when it's just text, that can be bots, and I don't engage with it because if the goal is to get me angry or to get me flustered, and I can't know if it's a bot or not, it just to me, I'm like, I'm not going to engage with because it's all shadows. It's all, it's ghosts in the radar. I just, and I know I never even look because you don't remember any of the good ones. You can have like the nicest, sweetest comment that goes in one ear at the other. Whenever there's a bad one, you just can't help. You're like, man, fuck that person. And I also
blocked someone on Twitter yesterday, and I do that about once a year.
Really?
Yeah,
I do that like 5 times a day now.
What they do
That's
to
how
you?
bad it is on my feed. I have to block like 5 to 7 people a day.
Unnecessary nastiness, and then there was a twinge of Bitcoin in it, and it was really nasty, and there was a twinge of Bitcoin, and I'm getting tired of those guys. I'm totally. I mean, we're on the same page in terms of the system being screwed, and we're all looking for solutions to duck the potential carnage, but they're a cult, right? They might as well go to Jonestown for fuck's sake. And so Rudy posted a goddamn tweet, posted a quote of mine in which I said, "Look, you guys started as libertarians. Now all of a sudden Larry Fink's your buddy, and so now you're endorsing that." And I said, if Larry Fink decides it's over, it's over. I promise you. Now, what they missed is that Larry Fink is a metaphor for the banking system, right? I don't think Larry Fink single-handedly can do anything to anybody. But Larry Fink, the voice of the banking system, when they decide it's time for Bitcoin to be hurt, they can hurt it. There's a million ways they can hurt it. And then Rudy shows that meme picture of a soldier in sort of this cloudy, smoky room dropping a grenade down to the next floor. And then he says, address all nasty comments to Dave Collum, not me. Rudy, you punk ass bitch! Oh my God, it was funnier than shit. But I don't know.
So no, Dave. To be honest with you, it's funny. I go on Bitcoin podcasts all the time, of course. And
so do I.
And I do my standard pattern. Then I'm like, I love Bitcoin, but I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, because I don't believe that technology ends, and therefore, while Bitcoin may be a great, thing, it's not the end of anything, and that makes me into a shitcoiner, by the way.
Yeah,
like it's a cargo cult. Just like hardcore libertarians are now a cargo cult when it comes to honestly all things Israel, almost all things everything at this point, and all things the Fed. Like I can't handle any of it anymore because none of it is nuanced. None of it has anything to do with the practical reality.
It's so black and white. It's so black and white.
And it's just retarded. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to be that big of a retard, that's great. After a while, you get 3 attempts to interact like a human when I know you're not just a bot, when you're not Kevin 0764531 with 3 followers, calling me a Ziocuck. Well, that's an insta block at this point. But if it's anybody else, you get 3
I
attempts.
hid that one well, apparently.
Yeah. So you're Kevin 07.
That was me.
01765.
That was
okay.
me. You
okay.
Zio cuck.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. But when it's coming from like when it's coming from commenters, or it's coming from like people in the peers in the space, you're like, okay, now what? And I've gotten that. I've been getting into that problem recently as well. So now all of a sudden it's happening from, you're over the target when you're taking flack from just about every corner. Like that's the way I look at it at this point. So nothing changes. I just keep doing the same obnoxious shit that I always do. And, I just keep hitting the block button. You get 3 attempts to be a human being. And if you act like, a jackass 3 times, well, on the 3rd time, you're gone. I just perma-block. I don't have time for it anymore. And none of us do. And you shouldn't subsidize those people, and you shouldn't give them the hit on the algorithm. So just be done with it and move on.
Does any of it give you pause on world leaders or whatever elite class of intelligence, finance, defense, in that when I look at like this podcast and it's got across all platforms like 60,000 subscribers and whatever, and I look at what floats around like, Tommy's he's clearly DIA, and that's why he's working with Luongo. And I look and like and it won't matter that we say it now, because if I say it now, it's, hey, this is still just, it's because we're all feds. But like, even if this is off air, like I know that there is nothing further than the truth, that we're just it's just us in a microphone. Does it make you then look, if someone as small as us on the food chain can have these elaborate, intricate explanations for who we are, does it make you look at people way up higher, the Secretary of State or the head of Raytheon? Does it make you ever switch your own thoughts and go, well, I'm sure they're shilling for this? Like, is that not the same? Do you get into the Department of Defense and they're like, they think the head of the Air Force is like in the Illuminati, and it's just like some guy named Bill? Like, does it give you, and there are real conspiracies, but when I see like the fact that some people think I work for the CIA, when like most of the times I do podcasts like in slippers, and I imagine, I'm like, you that is your go-to explanation. Does it make you examine your own mental images of people in true places of power? It does for me. It makes me think.
For me too.
It makes me think it's probably a lot more boring and mundane at that level. Like it really is just like, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, but it makes me think a little bit more.
I'll tell you what made me think that in that way this week, which is when I heard that several cabinet members or high up officials in the White House were moving into officers' quarters in the army bases around Washington, D.C. And I realized, these are, so when you see Stephen Miller on Fox News, and you think, well, here's this just incredibly powerful person, and all he does is spend 24 hours a day inveighing against his enemies. The fact is he's also a guy who's got a wife and kids, and was living in somewhere in Northern Virginia, and people were ringing his doorbell when his wife was at home, and this was an anecdote that I heard yesterday, that this woman rang the doorbell there and at their home in Northern Virginia, and told Mrs. Miller, who I think has some kind of a internet show of her own, said, "We're watching you." I don't know whether she was a neighbor or just, who she was. So maybe she was an Antifa. I don't know. But, all of a sudden, all of a sudden, the Millers are living on an army base, and a whole bunch of other people. And I think Tulsi Gabbard also moved to an army base.
I didn't know that, any of this.
Yeah. So
yeah, this came out earlier in the week. Tim's right.
It does put you in mind of the fact that they are just, there's a part of them that's just normal human beings trying to live a life. As far as mysterious connections, what comes to mind is a character like Mike Pompeo, who, and there were many others like him in Trump 1 and perhaps even in Trump 2. Mike Pompeo appeared to be really in league with the people who were the seditious cabal that was trying to bring down the government.
Mhm.
And yet, he persisted in realms of power for much longer than he should have. And it was very hard to understand.
Wow.
A lot of people are complaining about Susie Wiles now, especially in relation to Bobby Kennedy. They say that Susie Wiles is controlling Bobby Kennedy and that she has castrated him and that he's not allowed to say anything anymore. And I don't know what to believe about that, frankly.
Wow.
I,
Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This is a war cabinet,
Yeah.
and they're acting like it's a war.
Yeah, they don't want someone to go, like William Henry Seward and be in a house in Georgetown one night and have some maniac come in and
Well,
stab you 15 times.
well, apparently the
They,
Stephen Miller thing you were talking about happened the day after Charlie Kirk was shot.
I
Oh,
was going to
boy.
say Charlie Kirk had to have put a bit of a crimp in some style here. For
You
example,
bet.
if I were Tucker Carlson, I would definitely not go anywhere without security, right?
Yeah.
And security won't save you if someone wants to kill you.
right.
Apparently not.
Well, I
No.
don't see how it can. All a person has to do is get within 20 feet of you on the street or something, and boom, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
security guy might take out the shooter, but it doesn't mean Tucker didn't get whacked.
Yeah, you either got
Security
to,
guys might even be in on it, like,
yeah,
1963 and JFK, because we don't know about that either.
I think you got
Well,
to
that
be
was
by the
a
fair.
way, I think the case against Charlie Kirk's inner circle being in on Charlie Kirk's is pretty strong now.
Really.
Yeah, I think TPUSA. I think the TPUSA story is way more complicated than most people think, and I think way more. It's way larger geopolitically than most people think.
Well,
I think it was a real power move.
well, didn't
Um,
like yesterday or the day before, Cash Patel halted Tulsi Gabbard from trying to make inquiries into was this a foreign intelligence agency that did this?
well, that's just don't say the I word.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like,
I'm
oh,
not
so
sure that
did the,
it was also a matter of, protecting an evidence trail that they're trying to develop.
yeah.
That,
Well,
You mean
that's the
protecting an actual legitimate
yeah,
investigation?
absolutely, yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of that going on, and I think it's very easy for people to use the headline. And this is again, this goes back like this is where like I'm sorry, I got a hammer and it's a nail, and I'm going to keep pounding it until people get it through their fucking heads that this is all City of London, like this is all Davos, this is all these freaking people over and over and over again. That at a certain level, they're doing everything imaginable to queer the chain of evidence on these things, to queer the investigation so that you can't bring a legal case against these people. I mean, Jim Comey is up there today saying that he can't we should dismiss the indictment because the questions that were being asked of him were too complicated and he didn't understand them. Like, okay, like we're at that point with these fucking people. Like I read stuff this
Do you think they're
there's a
going to get anybody? You think they're going to get
Yeah, I
anybody in the
do. I think they're going to
collusion
get a
I
lot of
squad?
do.
people.
I do. I'm
Okay.
not that black pill, Dave.
Okay.
I just think that the whole
Okay.
process is far more complicated, and you have to develop the entire thing if you're going to develop anything, right? That
I think it was Bethany McLean who wrote about the '09 crisis, and they looked at it legally,
mhm,
and they described I think it was McLean. They described how many months and months and months they built a case against some Wall Street banker,
mhm.
and then an appeals court would look at it for 3 hours and throw it out.
Yep.
And that's how hard it is to get one of these guys is the problem. I have the alternative view that the goal is to keep these guys on defense for 3 years.
To keep who on defense? Obama
All
and Comey and
Trump's
all this.
all Trump's enemies. Keep
Maybe.
them all on defense.
But
Just
why
keep,
would you do that? Why would you do that and not attempt to put them on trial?
because
I
I
mean,
think there might be a dotted line that you cross, you get a bullet in the forehead.
eh, I don't
That's
believe.
one.
I
That's
think,
one way of looking at
look,
it. The other. I
if
was
you're
going to
going to
say
harass them, you're going to get a bullet in your forehead anyway. So I don't believe
I'm
it. I
not
don't
sure
buy
that's true. I think there are rules of engagement. I think
Oh,
there are
I
rules.
don't. I don't think those
No.
rules. I don't think those rules matter anymore. After what I saw Trump do in
That
Asia, are
could
you kidding?
be.
I think those rules were over. Like what he did to what he did to London all through his trip through Asia. What tell me that the rules are those rules are gone, but better to keep them on the defensive because then they can't go on the offensive against him. You set
That's
the
my
operational,
point.
you set
That's
the
I'd love
my
to hear
operational,
how
point.
that
yeah.
worked.
And I'm okay with that analysis, Dave. I'm
I'd love
perfectly
to
okay
hear
with
how
that.
that worked, Tom.
What's that?
I'd love to hear how that worked.
Oh, I'm sorry. I remember going deaf, guys. The what I think is that you keep the operational tempo on them so that if they're constantly playing defense, they can't mount an offense while you continue to change the vector of attack. So let's go through what happened at ASEAN over the weekend, right? So he ends the conflict between Cambodia and Thailand, gets Malaysia involved in the entire process, cuts a trade deal with Cambodia. That's all. That's all directed at the French and City of London, who are all over all of that. Then he goes to Japan. Okay, now the situation with Japan is always interesting because now look at what Takaishi has done so far in Japan. Like the first thing she does is nixes a coalition with Komieto, and the more I dig into Komieto, which is the LDP's current coalition partner, they've got deep ties to the CCP. Okay, now, Komieto, and so now you get rid of Komieto, you bring in Nishin Nokai, which is the hardcore nationalists, like Brothers of
You're going to
Italy
have to
type.
explain some of these terms as you go along because it's just a
Okay, so
bunch of
these are the
acronyms.
minor parties in Japan. In Japan, there's the Liberal Democratic Party that rules Japan and has ruled Japan under the auspice of the United States and the UK since the end of World War II, right? And it's always
Where's the
been.
Yakuza fit into this whole story?
Oh, well, that's the good question. You see, now you start talking about the whole organized crime layer of all of this, right? The Chinese triads, the Yakuza, the Italian mob, all of this stuff, the cartels, all of that stuff. If you listen to Matt Ehret, um, all of that stuff is downstream of the City of London and the Crown.
I love Matt.
Yeah, love Matt. Matt is great. And Matt's got the receipts on all this stuff. He did just a small bit of it on my podcast a few months ago when he was on. And he's been banging this drum for a long time. So if you look at everything that Trump is doing at this point, like it's all targeted. As I think I explained it the way my current framework for like the way the world operates at this point is that it operates at three levels. We have Davos / the high table, whatever you want to call it. There's upper management and there's middle management. We mostly interact with middle management on a day-to-day basis. Guys like Comey are middle management. They're order takers. They don't matter. Like keep all of those guys bound down, like Dave says, put them on defense because those guys, can't screw anything up. But at the same time, not being able to prosecute them then allows upper management and the high table to continually see doubt against what Trump's actual mission is. Trump is going after upper management. He just turned Bill Gates the other day against climate change. He's going after George
Wait a minute, you're
Soros.
giving Trump credit for that?
Absolutely, I am.
How do you make that connection?
So he brings Trump. So he brings Gates into Mar-a-Lago and has him sit there, and then Gates comes out the next day. He has him at dinner, and then he comes out the next day. Like it's very simple. At the end of the day, like Gates is upper management. You have to go after. You have to go after him in order to stop the high table from being able to implement anything. You got to go after their upper management. You got to go after their dudes. Well, that's Larry Fink, who's now in upper management. He's running the WEF now, right? You have guys like Gates, you have guys like Soros, you have that whole layer of people. And by the way, I put all of the organized crime in upper management. Those are the guys who implement all of the things that all the stuff that we have to interact with. That's why the fentanyl trade. That's why all of these things. The middle managers are the ones that exist at the national government level, and the Judge Boasbergs and all those people. Those are all middle and lower management. They're there to ensure that that the orders from upper management get implemented and any change to the system gets stopped dead cold. And then we all sit here on a daily basis, sitting on Twitter and everything else, trying to figure out what's going on. And we're like wondering why a middle manager like fucking Hillary Clinton isn't in jail. Who gives a shit? Obama's the problem. Obama's the upper management.
I don't understand why we don't know the names of the high table, upper management. Why don't we know exactly who these people
Because
are?
that's
What's so difficult about it?
the most valuable asset is privacy.
Uh-huh.
They
If middle
can't hide
bankers don't have
like that.
Wikipedia pages.
I don't believe.
If you got hundreds of billions of
so at the end of
dollars,
the day, then you have to look at the guys like Jamie Dimon are also upper management. And then the question is which faction and upper management are fighting which management and upper
Who's on the high table? Is Ursula von der Leyen on the high table?
She's at best middle management.
So is Larry Fink? He's just upper management?
I think he's upper management now.
Who's high table?
So that's when we start getting into the crown. We start getting Tommy Carrigan. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me.
I am the
crown.
Prince Charles could not
Charles?
possibly function as a high table commissioner.
Absolutely, the crown is absolutely part of this. Is absolutely part of this. When you realize that the Crown Corporation and the Dutch East and the British East India Company became the IMF and the BIS at Bretton Woods. Are you fucking kidding me? They're not.
Well, if King Charles itself is not doing the day-to-day management of it, who is?
No, what the Crown represents and what City of London represents and all of that stuff. Absolutely.
So, but don't we know the people who are at the heads of those banks and the people who occupy high positions?
We know that people like Tony Blair do.
Well, he's upper management though. He's not the high table.
We're not.
Who's the high table?
I don't know. You tell me.
Why don't we know? Why? How can we not possibly know? Unless what it really is, Tom, is a consensus, a deal, a set of agreements among the upper management, which is what I think.
If you go to the comments section, you'll see that we are the upper table.
Yeah,
we're the high table.
Yeah,
we're the high table.
We all work for them. And
it's funny, but I think we got to really, I think we got to really figure this out.
At this point, is my job, apparently, according to all the commentators, like all the commenters out there and all the bots, is that I'm here to obfuscate all the fact that it's just the fucking Jews.
Yeah, it's
well,
and I just don't buy that.
Look, there are a lot of Jews in banking, but I don't think it's the Jews who are running the world.
I know actually.
It's the dumbest thing imaginable.
Well, I run my life, but I'm only one Jew running one life.
No, Jim, that's on. I of course, the Jews are and I mean,
I'll tell you what bugs me, and I've said this more than once. What bugs me about my own people is that they're running lawfare. Now that, to me, is a precise and explicit problem involving a definite set of characters who we know exactly who they are. I'm very puzzled about why we can't put them out of business. And I'm speaking of Norm Eisen and Benjamin Wittes and Michael Bromwich and the rest of the DC lawfare gang.
I think the DRJs are right down at this point. They're really
the DRJs.
DOJ.
Oh,
Department of Justice. I think there's so much corruption in there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. And I think that part of what we're actually watching at this point in the first year of this administration is, again, it's how I think how I described it the last time we got together, which is that look, you got to poke some area where you think there's some corruption and there's a person, and you got to poke them and get them to act in such a way that you can then prove that they are who they are and who they work for, and then start the process of getting rid of them in order to roll up the people that we see on a daily basis, and which I call middle management. In order to get those people, you've got to get rid of the gatekeepers and the people who are actively there monkey wrenching any potential and sabotaging any potential undoing of the entire process. Look, what do you guys make of all of these guys? Pompeo and Obama and all the rest of them all visiting 10 Downing Street in the last 2 weeks.
I don't know what to think of that.
I know exactly what to think of that. They're freaking scared shitless that they're going to get rolled up. They're trying to roll up the next counterattack against Trump.
Well, Keir Starmer has even more to worry about than they do, because Keir Starmer is turning his whole country against him.
Now, interestingly,
Britain as a country's fucked up beyond comprehension.
It's gone.
It's
being liquidated.
Yeah,
It's being liquidated. And City of London as a thing was they're trying to move somewhere else and they're liquidating England. They're saying to Trump explicitly, if you want any of the Commonwealth nations, the UK, Canada, Australia, we're going to destroy them and so that there's nothing to take over. It's what they're doing in Canada. It's what Mark Carney's doing in Canada. The interesting thing was the Trump cutting that deal with Anthony Albanese down in Australia.
That was bizarre.
Was a great move.
Mark Carney's got to be upper table by this model.
He's definitely upper management. Maybe even quote unquote high table. Like, I don't know, but he's out in the open. So, you never put those guys out there, right?
He's like Neutron Jack of GE, who used to go from one management job to another, destroying companies.
Mark Carney is definitely one of their chief enforcers.
He's a middle linebacker.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And but it was interesting. Like the Promethean Action ladies had a great update video a couple weeks ago about the deal in Australia, where Trump goes to Australia, cuts the rare earths and mining deal with Australia, and doesn't just cut a typical colonial extraction thing. Hey, give us your rare earths and we'll give you money. No. We're going to do the processing and the production in Australia as a partnership. So what Trump is doing in every one of these countries he's cutting trade deals with, this is how you know he's not operating the same system that that the old British, Dutch, Anglo-Dutch colonial system.
The extraction game.
He's cutting deals to bring them in as partners all over the world. They term that as the American system versus the British system. That's their shorthand for it. It's the whole Hamiltonian British system or American system of build domestic production in order to build to take everybody up, to bring everybody up together. And every time that we've attempted to break the old British system in the past, be it McKinley, Lincoln, even to a lesser extent FDR, who I'm not sure I agree with that part of the analysis, we've had those people killed. Though the British have had those people killed, and they're the ones who kill our presidents. That's their argument, and I'm hard pressed at this point not to believe that. And that model keeps making more and more sense. It's not a model that I wanted to, I went into this life going, yeah, this is the model I'm going to run with. This is the model that continues to make the most sense by all the moves that we're seeing.
So go back for a minute and explain what Obama and everybody is going to.
I have trouble picturing him being important for some reason. I have trouble picturing it. Yeah.
Why are they going to 10? Who are they petitioning at 10 Downing Street? For what?
Well, Obama, I think it was their choice of the guy, the perfect Manchurian candidate to destroy the United States. He's still running so many things behind the scenes. He's so many people who are loyal to him.
Well, he certainly's got his nose into shit that past presidents normally don't get their nose into.
Right?
Is he indictable?
Absolutely. But if you're going to get Obama, you really have to have the case for it. You have to build a massive case for Obama. You can't just we're indicting Obama now.
You can't wing him. You can't wing him.
Yeah.
No. If you're going after him, you got to go after it. You really got to go for it. And this is a very dangerous game. And what matters is ultimately the results. You build the infrastructure of a new system, right? And you have to get buy-in. And in order for any of this to work, you got to get buy-in from the Russians and the Chinese. You can't do that. The Americans can't do this on their own. It has to be a full court, multi pronged attack.
Speaking of that,
Chinese have to play their part.
It's my theory, and I wonder what you think about this, that Donald Trump has to pretend really hard that he's trying to harm Putin and the Russians in order to actually allow them to prevail in Ukraine, so that a proper balance of power can be restored. So that Ukraine is not a problem for anybody anymore. It becomes solidly within the sphere of influence of Russia, and
does anybody
you don't fight over it anymore.
Believe that Trump really wants to hurt the Russians? Oh, I don't see any.
Well, it's obviously some kind of a vaudeville that he's going through right now.
But I mean, it does even look like a well done one. I mean, it seems to
Well,
I don't know.
me.
It's pretty
I agree,
strenuous.
Dave. No, I agree. But what this is the funny part about it. You have to deal with the reality of the American political system, which is that at this point in time, you have to make the case such that you neutralize all the traitors in Congress and the Senate, right? So, like the sanctions on Russian oil and Lukoil and Rosneft through India and all of that, that's all to shut down the backdooring of Russian oil into the European Union, which is settled in euros, by the way, using the UAE dirham as the liquidity token,
And
as opposed to the British pound.
In particular
Germany, in order to get the energy into the European Union for them to continue to fight the war by proxy in Ukraine. That's the way this is being played. That's what he's been doing. The Russians don't give a shit about the oil being shut off. Notice how Japan stood up to Trump and said, "We're still going to buy Russian oil," and Trump went, "You know what? Okay."
Yeah, who cares, right?
Well, no. Then I heard something that I haven't had a chance to like follow up on it, but I saw something the other day, which is that y'all know that Russia and Japan are still at war, right?
They didn't solve they never settled the 1907 thing or the
No, they never settled World War
Sino.
II.
World War II.
World War II.
Oh,
They still
Manchuria?
haven't signed a peace treaty over World War II because of the Kuril Islands. Now, this has been a thing that's come up over and over and over again over the last 12 years since I've been studying all of this crap. And multiple times they've gotten close. And multiple times it's been scuttled by the same old people, the John Boltons and the American and European neocons saying, nope. At the last moment, the Japanese would always put some ridiculous demand on the table that they knew the Russians would not agree to, and then the thing would end. I saw something the other day that Takaishi is now ready to settle that score. Now, that would be great. Why would that be great? Because then Russia and so this is again another one of those kind of, I've described this before as like kind of open conflict. It's an open wound. North and South Korea, India, Pakistan, India, China, northern and southern Sudan, like Ukraine, Russia, the United States, Canada. Like these are all old. Israel, Gaza, Israel, Iran, all of these old permanent wars, Cambodia, Thailand, they're all designed in order to be spun up into a big problem and to keep the world frozen in amber forever in order to be able to sow chaos forever. Russia, Japan not signing a peace treaty makes it impossible for them to actually really do business together. For there to be any kind of settlement of the and development of that entire region of the world. To whose benefit is that? Actually, is it to the United States' benefit? No. The only people who benefit from any of this are the fucking Europeans who still want to run their colonial extraction system.
Is there some
and
intermediate?
keep Japan as a colony of the old British and Anglo UK.
Is there some intermediary preventing negotiation of the Kuril Islands?
That's what I'm saying. Is that
who is preventing that?
The LDP that runs Japan was a creation of our CIA, by the way.
That's the Liberal Democratic Party.
The Liberal Democratic Party was always been understood to be a wholly owned subsidiary of Western intelligence agencies. So this is why Takaishi bringing in this hardcore, throwing out the existing minor parties who have murky ties to somewhere. I think so. I've heard there's some CCP ties. In some ways, I would also argue that maybe some of that is actually, again, there are factions within the CCP. We know that there's British influence within the CCP. We know that there's British influence within the CCP. We know there's factions in there. We know all these things about what's going on with Xi and is he going to get deposed from power? And we've heard all these things recently. Like the world is far more complicated than just these big monolithic national factions running around. We all know that there's multiple factions within the US. In order for us to do any kind of rational geopolitical analysis, we have to realize that there are factions within every one of these countries that we're dealing with as well.
Is Xi in danger right now?
I don't know. Maybe. I won't know until after the fourth plenum. It's a very, very mixed bag of signals that are coming out of China. And
How's their banking system
But
look?
they're good at mixed bag of signals. So they pulled that dupe before where they've said to us, look, things are very fragile, don't push us. And then we look at 10 years later and they had bullshitted us.
How's their banking system?
I'm sorry.
Well, the claim is it's a mess.
How is their banking system right now?
I don't have good answers for that. That's a good question.
But the headline claims are it's a mess.
Yeah. Well, the headline claims ours were a mess. Like when Andrew Bailey, the head of the BOE, a week before the FOMC meeting, comes out and says, I'm beginning to see some really strange, really big credit stresses within the United States bond market. I'm like, really? I wonder why. Mr. I'm sitting on $4 trillion worth of through subsidiaries of U.S. Treasury debt. Then the Fed comes out with a white paper that says that there's $1.4 trillion worth of U.S. paper, U.S. Treasury paper, being traded back and forth in the Caymans, not the $402 billion that we think are sitting in the TIC report. Why did the Fed put that one out at the same time? I thought it went the other way.
I thought that someone said there was 4 times as many treasuries in the Caymans as we thought. Who made that claim?
The Fed. That was a Fed white paper.
So the Fed was saying there's 4
That's
trillion.
interesting.
Yes.
Reversed those two in my opinion.
I didn't. What I meant to say is, that there's 1.4 trillion in the Caymans when the TIC report's only reporting about 428 billion.
Right. Now, does that mean it was literally off the radar so that we actually have more debt than we realize? Is that what that means?
That's the way it was being positioned. That's the way it was being argued by the typical Austro-libertarian, we all hate the fucking Fed crowd. And I'm like, no, that was a fucking warning to the Bank of England. Oh, by the way, we see you. Come after our fucking bond markets and we'll beat your asses again. That came out exactly like 24 hours after Bailey made his friggin' statement about there being credit stresses in the United States. There's so much data about what happened during the tariff tantrum that this was an attack by both Canada and the BOE on the SOFR markets. Like this shit's, dude, tariffs aren't inflationary.
Well, what are the supposed derivatives of the?
Because no money is fucking printed. That's why.
What are the supposed derivatives of these treasuries that you mentioned? What are the supposed derivatives of all those?
It's supposedly about the basis trade, which is that you sell you're long the treasury and you're short the futures or the vice versa. So you're picking up nickels on the contango, right? Between the two prices. And
this sounds like a casino, but this sounds like a casino arguing with itself over the house's cut.
In some ways. What I'm getting at here is that back in April, okay, in the runoff to the tariff tantrum, everybody was talking about the basis trade blowing up, okay? But it wasn't the basis trade, which is the U.S. Treasury trade that I just briefly described. What was actually happening, because the data is very clear, is that someone was attacking the SOFR futures market, which is a different market. It's similar, it's related, but it's not the same thing.
What is it exactly?
Well, this is SOFR futures market is that people are betting on what the Fed's going to, what the price of dollars is going to be in the future based on how the Fed is going to react at every meeting, whether they're going to raise or lower interest rates. That's what the SOFR futures market is supposed to.
So it's like red on the roulette wheel.
Well, it is what it is. Like people are trying. Well, it's a dollar futures market trying to coordinate the price of dollars through time, which is what a futures market is supposed to do. And in this case, it's US dollars, right? But if you attack the SOFR futures market and I watched this while it was happening back in April, and you can go back and look at the data on the COMEX, you'll see unbelievable volatility all across the SOFR futures curve from about 3 to 6 months out, all the way out to 3 years. Like there was a coordinated attack. This is a market that should trade 2 to 3 basis points a day. Right, because I mean, really, is our opinion about the price of what the Fed's going to do 6 months from now really going to move more than 3 basis points in a day, unless Powell comes out and says, and surprises markets by saying I'm going to raise interest rates 50 basis points next week. No, it should trade a couple of basis points a day based on the supply and demand for dollars. And this shit was moving 20 fucking basis points an hour.
And is this naked shorting or what?
Yeah. So there was clearly somebody was in there attacking those markets. Doesn't matter.
In a currency market, I'm trying to think what a naked trade is in a currency market.
Well, you pretend to have some proprietary interest in something that you don't have.
Well,
right.
You have.
But do you have to? But a naked trade would be borrowing dollars and then selling them.
Right. I mean, in order to play in the SOFR futures market, you're going to have to be able to pony up the collateral to be able to post the future.
Well, then it's right? Not a.
But naked shorting is pretending to borrow those.
Pretending, right.
Pretending
so with an equity, I totally
so it's total bullshit.
A naked short in this respect would be a rehypothecated.
And I'm sure the audience who really understands what rehypothecation is.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Yes, and the naked shorting would be to say I'm going to sell shares against your Apple, and those shares don't exist.
Not only that, you've already done it to two other parties.
Right. Well, that's rehypothecation, though. It's the same thing. You're selling the same. You're selling the same shares.
Do you have to is there a kid playing a banjo in the background of this?
Yeah, of course.
So my point
Squeal
being
like
is that
a pig, Ned Beatty.
What I'm getting at here, and that's why I'm like Jim, you're asking good questions, but I'm trying to stay out of those weeds in order to say, look, they're telling us it's the basis trade that's going to blow up. So that's their vector of attack. They ran that same obfuscation back in April on the SOFR on the tariff tantrum, but they were really attacking the SOFR futures market while they fed zero hedge and all the freaking honestly fed all the morons this basis trade bullshit. And I'm watching the SOFR futures market every day, and there's no volatility this time. Meaning, yeah, they're going to change their vector of attack because they can't attack the SOFR futures market. They already tried it and failed. So now they got to make another. Then maybe this time it will be the basis trade.
They sound an awful lot like Ghostbusters,
dude. I'm telling you,
don't cross the beams.
This is the way these things. This is what's going on in these markets. I talk to guys like Vince Lanci and others who trade these markets.
I'm supposed to live in these
markets, and they're all like, yeah, you're completely right. I have people come back to me privately or like who trade these markets. I'm like, yeah, that's what's going on.
When does the unreality of all this bite the financial world in the ass?
You mean that when reality shows up, that thing?
When you mean when gold is $15,000 an ounce?
Maybe
that seems too high. I think it's lower than that.
Maybe 12, maybe 10.
You think
pick a number? It doesn't matter. It's a lot higher.
Like one night when the silver market got bombed. This is I don't understand any of this shit. But one of the nights where the silver market got bombed, and it's always in the middle of the night when there's no buyers, and so they can just bomb the shit out of it. But they bombed it with almost 1 billion ounces of silver.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fuck ton of silver to use the metric system.
It's not real silver though. It's just silver digitized.
I know,
silver on a computer.
But if you short it, don't you have to buy it back?
Yeah. So somebody put real money on the
theoretically
in order to bomb that.
But they never do. I mean, they never deliver. So what does it matter?
Well,
but you still have a future.
It's all fucking mummery.
I know, but you still got to buy that future back, don't you? That future doesn't just go away.
Yeah, that depends on who's on the trade. Somebody, so. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, no, I agree with you. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, but here's the thing. Here's the big one. The silver market is being like the big thing that I've been watching and we've been talking about has been gold, silver, and soon to be copper. Copper's going to be the next one that goes that gets dislocated. But gold and
up or down?
Way up.
Okay.
Way up.
Don't you worry that copper is schizophrenic, and if the economy turns down, it'll go the other way and turn against you badly?
I'm worried about that, but not given the
because Dr. Copper's a fucked up organism, right?
How's your platinum trade going, Dave?
Phenomenally.
Of course.
Phenomenally.
Yeah.
I don't time things, but I've been watching platinum for years, flatline, and I talked to a bunch of TA guys, not to be confused with TNA guys, and I said, what would cause you to get interested in this chart, which looks like a flat line in the ER? And they said, well, if it got up above here, that's when it would pique my interest. And so I kind of set up a plan, and once it pinged, I started buying. I bought platinum probably 9 times now.
It's totally off stage, Dave.
What do you mean off stage?
No one's paying any attention to platinum in the world
No,
except for you.
But yeah, I know. That's what I like about it. When I
Yeah.
was buying gold in the 200s, there was 5 of us trying to buy the gold.
Right.
And
I
the
was
bank
one of them.
and we were buying it from the Bank of England. And so no, the platinum story is based on fundamentals, not momentum, though. The above ground platinum supplies suck balls. I mean, they really are low. The production is way below replacement rate. And so the math, I got to be careful here. If you're listening to me, do your own due diligence, because I could be out by factors of 2 or 3. But if I remember correctly, the math is that at the rate of deficit production, the above ground platinum supplies are gone in something like 2 or 3 years.
Got any idea where it comes from mostly?
Yeah, it comes from South Africa. There's where
South Africa is going to be gone in 2 or 3 years.
No fucking kidding. And that'll be terrible for the miners and phenomenal for the price.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 10% comes from, there's actually a pure platinum mine in Montana, I'm told. That was only rumor. I'm not sure there's still people in Montana, but that's a separate issue. 10% of the platinum
California went there, I thought.
I know. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. The other 10% from not South African is Russian. It's not like we've been catering to their needs very well.
There's not all,
so
the platinum
I think platinum could go meme if we have a geopolitical event, but I think it could go meme purely on fundamentals.
No, copper's in the same boat.
Does it have any industrial application besides the catalytic converter?
It has some, but that's the big one, I think.
The big one is it's by far it's at the top of the volcano plot of metal hydride bond strength versus
you just lost everyone in the whole podcast.
I know this is the classic electrochemistry volcano.
Lost me.
I have papers on platinum hydrides, believe it or not.
Yes.
And
go for it, Dave. Explain it, because I did this shit for 5 years when I was working.
I can't tell you why the platinum hydrides are of any consequence to the platinum market, except for the catalytic converter.
Well, that's why.
Right, but the other thing is it's used more in the hybrid than in the ICE. So as we go to hybrids, the platinum consumption goes up, not down.
Mm-hmm. The platinum catalyst, that surface is so good at generating free hydrogen, because the metal hydride bond strength is so low.
Don't you use it in OChem? Don't you use it in OChem to facilitate it? I'm remembering platinum plus heat plus H2 or is it palladium?
Palladium is in organic chemistry. Palladium is much more sort of central for organic chemists. If you walk into a pharma, for example, you'll see palladium catalysts everywhere.
I can still just see it in my mind's eye. Palladium plus heat plus H2.
Yeah, my odds-on favorite Nobel Prize winners going forward are palladium chemists now. But the platinum burns colder in a hybrid, so you need more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem there. So my bet on platinum was a fundamentals based bet, but I used TA to tell me whether to get in or wait another 10 years.
Ooh,
of course.
Well, it's been dead for 10 years. It's been dead money for 10 years. And so I said, okay, I don't need to spend another 10 years sitting on dead money. So I just waited and waited. I literally had like 100 shares of PPLT just sitting in my account, just reminding me every day as I look at the price that it's not moving 10 cents a day. Right. And then if you go back on my Twitter feed, there is a record where I'm starting to ping it. Now I know there's other guys like Peter Bookfar. I talked to him last year in November, and he said he had just bought platinum for the first time. I talked to Einhorn at about the same time, and he said, "You're the second smart guy," which I said right away. He just lost his credibility, but he says, "You're the second smart guy to mention platinum. I got to look into it." So there are people starting to look at it. Mitch Fierstein 2 years ago was trying to get me to buy platinum, and Mitch is.
I remember when you went on that, Dave, because you posted it, and I remember replying to you, and I looked right at the chart, and I went, "Yeah, if it gets above $1,000 an ounce,
I was using the PPLT chart, so it's a slightly different price, but it's the same idea. Platinum had been channeling stocks.com for 10 years, and I didn't need to sit on dead money. I could get a checking account to do that.
Yeah. And not in a world where 3-month treasuries were paying you 4.5%. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
So my 9 purchases probably are average from the first to the last, average up about 40%. So
that's a good
my first purchase is probably 75, something like that. But I don't time shit. The other analysis I did years and years and years ago was when Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds, these guys were facing, was it a $142 billion lawsuit?
Mm.
It was a monster by the states, and they were paying monstrous dividends, and they were hated on moral grounds, and they were just, no one wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there going, okay, they're not going out of business because then the states won't get paid. So that they're going to survive that. They've been beating the lawsuits. What am I missing? What am I missing? This is goddamn free money, but I'm missing something. And then one day I read a 3-paragraph article that says, by the way, if they lose the lawsuit, they have to raise cigarettes 50 cents a pack to pay the bill. And I go, holy fuck. I say, it's just a tax. That's all it is. So I bought it, and it just, nothing but good news since then. Wish I'd bought 10 times as much, but I did buy enough to put kids through college.
I was going to say it's one of those things. I remember when I first went to work for Newsmax back in 2013. I met Bill Spatrino, one of the other newsletter writers over there, and Bill had been in Altria, which is the new version of R.J. Reynolds, or one of them, and he'd been in his thing for years, and he was like not giving it up. So yeah, he
12.5%.
He probably made the same trade that you did, Dave.
12.5% dividends when I bought R.J. Reynolds for the first time.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll take 12.5% all day long.
Listen, this personal portfolio stuff's getting boring. Do you mind if I change the subject to something?
No, not at all.
Have you been paying attention to the prospect of this forthcoming November 5th exercise, Trump from the White House protest? The various arms of the resistance, or the Democratic Party, or the Socialist Democrats, or Democratic Socialists, are trying to get 1 million people or more to go to Washington and surround the White House and other government buildings in order to force Trump out of the government. What do you make of that?
God, I hope he just starts shooting into the crowd.
Have you not followed that? It's not in the New York Times.
No, I know. I have been following it.
This is news to me, actually, believe it or not.
I saw it the other day, and I was like, okay, if you're gonna, I mean, Davos already hates the boomers.
That's
so
not.
Much. They don't want to pay. They don't want to pay for their health care. So, we're sending them to Washington to be shot by Trump. Like, seems like a good way of not having to pay their pension.
I mean, I forget who said, some comedian said it. He was like, there are these ideas of these like mass protests, like BLM or Occupy Wall Street. Like, if we just get to this critical mass, then like we'll win. And the guy goes, I don't know why everyone has this illusion that like we think that these ruthless parasitic elites can't co-escalate. And he goes, they'll just start shooting into the crowd. like they do pepper spray and everything but like if need be, like we do it every day across the planet. They will absolutely do it today. They will absolutely let just a fucking minigun just mow people down. They will. I'm not calling for it.
The object of it is, it's the old Alinsky thing about it's not the action that you do, it's the reaction that your foe does. And so the object is to make Mr. Trump look like a tyrant.
Sure.
And then force him, extremists, they'll show up.
And force him to invoke the Insurrection Act.
The thing is I think my generation and younger, though, I think they are so fucking like swinging back the other way
What other way? Which
to the
way?
right
Okay.
that they would honestly cheer on an insurrection act. 5 years ago it would have been he's a tyrant. Nowadays they'd be like, thank God, you know.
Yeah.
People like younger than me are like they fucking hate Trump and they're like he's way too centrist. And I'm like, that's so awesome. Like
So
that-
I was
It
on
is
a
true. It
I
is
was
true.
on a
Learning to speak Zoomer, guys, you like
it's
really have to learn
great.
how to speak
It's
Zoomer.
yeah.
And they're
I
like,
was
let's
on a
fucking go.
Yeah, they
Like,
call
I
him
was on a
Generation Zyklon.
I was on a podcast with Melody Wright and Ferris, and we went darkness. We went into the darkness, and and she mentioned the book End Times by Peter Turchin, which is kind of a fourth turning equivalent book, and it caught my attention, so I ordered it. I get audio. And I was partway through it, and then I said to Adam Taggart, I said, "This is actually pretty good. You ought to bring him in." He said he's scheduled for Tuesday. So there's a lot of echo chambering going on
Yeah,
here.
elite overproduction.
And that's exactly right. Now the model, let's expand it a little bit. The model is that you get a demographic boom first, which we call boomers. And then you get elite overproduction, which we call college graduates, who expect to get more than they can possibly get out of the lower class who have to actually swing hammers and do shit like that. And then everyone gets pissed off. Now, the various moments in history where this boom bust. So you go through the golden age during the demographic boom, and then you get to the gilded age, which is the roaring 20s, the bazillionaires now, shit like that. And then the outcome goes in different directions, but usually it's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And to think you'll see it coming ignores Arab Spring and the collapse of the Soviet Union and things like that.
Well, Dave, you consort with young people because you're the only college
Not
professor
really,
among us.
not really, not
You
really.
never see them?
Not much. I'm not teaching this semester for starters,
No.
but no, not as much as you might think.
Because I was wondering what you observe about are college students moving more to the right? Are they tired of chaos? Do they crave order? Do they crave some kind of legitimate authority they can believe in?
I've heard they've already given up on the whole tranny thing. I've heard
Thank
that.
God.
I've heard that the super wokeness is not selling at all to the younger kids
And
now.
you
I
understand
can't say firsthand.
that was simply a brownie point operation.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It was appalling, actually. I mean, it's truly appalling.
Yeah.
And so that gets you back, and that now brings you back to Charlie Kirk, which I don't think. I didn't know Charlie Kirk was influential till after he died, which makes me worry a little bit that maybe this he was profoundly influential story is a post-death narrative.
Well, he confined himself largely to the younger generations, and
He certainly did,
he wasn't
but
out among us. Uh-oh.
now, the wife just doesn't want to be doxxed anymore.
the post-death story makes him Jesus fucking Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it's getting a little smarmy.
Way smarmy, as in like they've turned it into an entire geopolitical movement.
I don't think.
Yeah, it's starting to look like one of those Bible theme
But
park
I think it's
things.
like I think that's human condition. Like Kobe, Biggie Smalls, Tupac. Like I think that's a.
Yeah,
I do think it's just a thing.
except there's bucks here. There's bucks and power involved in this one.
Sure.
Mhm.
This is but Kobe, there wasn't bucks and power. It was just Kobe, right? This one, all of a sudden, you got JD Vance, at Turning Point.
How much money wasn't Turning Point making like 80 million a year? I mean, that's a lot, but that's not. It seems like a pretty convoluted operation to get 80 million.
If the story's correct, that right before Charlie got killed, he got shaken down by Israel in a very big way to the point where they had this intervention and they had Ackman and they had all these guys sitting there banging on Charlie's forehead. Why he's that important is beyond me, but they were.
He was influencing a lot of people, a lot of young voters.
He apparently was. And supposedly at that intervention, he got a call from Netanyahu, straight from Israel. And so they were bringing out the big guns, and Netanyahu offered him a ton of money, and he said, "Fuck that." He refused it. Netanyahu invited him to Israel.
He was making plenty of money himself. Why did he need to? Why did Netanyahu even think that he could be bought?
I think I think bullied is the word.
Hmm.
I don't think it was being bought. I think it was being bullied.
Well, then I would say his posthumous glory is warranted. That's fucking
No, 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 no,
hardcore.
no. I don't think so either. I think there's something else at play completely.
I think Charlie Kirk crossed the real third rail.
Across the
And
what?
it's not the real third rail, and I don't think it was Israel. No, I mean the whole Israel story is convenient and it's interesting and may be true. I'm willing to entertain it, but the real big one was this is the one you never see like floating around on any clips of him, which is when he started talking with the woke kids about BlackRock just buying up all the single family homes and him saying, you know what? You have more, you control more than $100 million worth of assets. You don't get to buy single family homes in this country. Like,
See, this
I
is
think that's
completely unfamiliar to me.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah, that's high level.
He went off on this shit. He was going off on us like it's wrong that you don't have the ability to buy a house. That these fucking private equity companies were going out there and buying up all the friggin' houses and jacking up all the fucking prices. He's like, no, he's not. I watched a 5-minute clip of him.
That's clashing with upper management. That's part of the, that's part of the big scale
but I'm
movement.
Still trying to figure out how
so
big,
much
I'm still
more.
trying to figure out how big it is. If I have no recollection of seeing those clips.
I have seen them.
But it doesn't seem like a big thing.
Really?
Not if I've never seen one of those clips. That's the big
story at this
point. No. I don't
Trump has got to get
that was the big story. But if I've never seen one of the clips, how many times did he say that?
I don't know, but I know that he was saying it in the last. It was in the last few months before they shot him. So if I want to build a case for someone to shoot Charlie Kirk, and I can tell you flat out, I look around me today, and this is the reason why I'm the Zio cuck now, is because I refuse to see anything other than at this point that the city of London is throwing all of their assets, their former assets, under the bus, including Israel. Remember, London and France backed the Palestinian statehood. Big deal. They were really angry about this. Like, Israel's a British creation, for Christ's sake. Right?
Yeah.
Balfour.
It is. It's a British creation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's,
But how is that backing the Palestinians if it's a British creation? I'm trying to figure out.
Bingo. At some point, what I've been saying all year long, and I've been saying literally since 10/7, that once the dial got turned up, that all of a sudden we were all allowed to bitch about the Jews. I'm like, oh, that's the trap. Oh, look what they're going to do now.
Wait a minute, we were allowed to bitch about the Jews.
They were absolutely trying to throw Israel under the bus in order to protect themselves for the shit that they've been doing.
Wait, we're allowed to bitch about the Jews? No, we're allowed to bitch about the Jews?
Yes, we are.
No, bullshit.
Oh, bullshit. Like, who was just on Tucker Carlson last week?
Now, Tucker Carlson is not Fuentes. Tucker Carlson is not the we. The we is when you turn on any network and no one bitches about the Jews. No one.
Nope.
Nobody.
Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Dave. The news does not matter. We are the news.
But Tucker Carlson is not controllable, but the news is, and you turn on Fox, you turn on all those, there is 100%. You got Trump supporting Israel. You got Trump. No, I do not believe. I do not believe that we have been allowed. Quit calling them the Jews. I'm talking about Israel and Netanyahu. This shit's been wrong on that. Totally wrong on that.
Fine, but this shit's been very clear since 10/8 that all of a sudden on Twitter it was okay to bitch about the Jews and not get thrown off.
Well, but you were already not getting thrown off.
Been going on for 2 years now, Dave.
Yeah, but you've not been thrown off for anything. You bitch about vaccines.
For 2 years.
You can bitch about vaccines.
I'm the only Jew in the room, and I'm the only one who's been bitching about the Jews today. The lawfare Jews.
I just see no evidence that 10/7 triggered an onslaught of complaints about Israel. I see a complete shutdown. I don't name any talk show,
like all the protests on college campuses paid for by our.
Yeah, I'm with Tom. Nothing has shifted. People I see in my own generation, specifically leftists
More.
who are now like they're
They're
complete.
openly like Israel
Hey,
sucks.
you got half the Jews on the Upper West Side of Manhattan voting for Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah. Like Dave, I don't know what you're
It's the
I don't know
truth.
where you are on this, but I'm no offense, man, but I'm like,
These
really?
are the you're describing the uncontrolled complaints. You're describing the complaints that's got Netanyahu climbing the walls. I'm talking about
You got
the official narrative is not to complain about Israel. The
right,
official
and
narrative,
all of our
you do
media
not
is
complain about Israel.
captured.
That's my
Fox
point.
News is not captured.
Yes,
Do you
it
think
is. Yes, it is. Turn
it's
on Fox
independent?
News and show me someone bitching about Netanyahu.
That's what I said. I said not captured. Of course they're captured.
Oh,
Oh, I thought you
not
said not
captured.
captured. I was
You're
like,
being
wait.
facetious.
I was like, no, what the fuck? Yeah. No, okay. Sorry.
No, not captured. Sorry.
The
Yeah,
problem,
I so
problem
fucking hate the
is,
English that I love using double negatives. You have to understand
yeah,
this.
yeah. Well, I didn't hear. I just didn't hear it. I thought you were stuttering again.
Just,
No.
just
I
as a
meant that on purpose.
just as a quick injection, as somebody that has done almost 2,000 podcasts, purely on an entertainment level, just for the record, Tom's hatred of City of London is so much more fascinating than like the hatred of Jews. It's just it's a better, it's
I
so much
know.
more fun. It's new. It's
The
engaging.
Brits, the limeys.
I've just heard the Jew thing so many times. I love it's so much better. Sorry, keep going.
No, my point is like I can I mean I'm looking at it everywhere. All I see because I don't interact with the main media. Like I look at the main media, I don't care because nobody watches them. Like the reality is that Twitter is the news cycle. The social media is the news cycle. The media is the old gatekeeper, and they don't have much gatekeeping
All
left.
I see
So
on
they
the, all I
exist.
see,
They exist purely to set one antipode, one side, so that the real space the real media and the real narratives they want to push forward are everywhere. See, if you want to push Trump Trump is a Jew loving anti-American, then what do? You
no, I
start
don't think they're
protests
pushing Trump as a.
you
That's
fund
not an
protests
adequate description of Trump.
on Columbia campus for the Palestinians, and he has to respond. Then he
I
responds in some other like it's all
I think the
bullshit. He knows
campus
exactly where
protests
those
are
numbers came
totally. I
from.
think the protests on college campuses are actually pretty organic.
Okay, in the same way that Occupy Wall Street was organic, and we know that was not true either.
No. You're not going to hang my statement with other things that are not organic. I'm saying the kids do not like what they're seeing in Gaza. They don't like it.
I agree.
And therefore they're protesting.
Right. And it's being used and and a lot of it is just like we're seeing with Antifa, and just like we're seeing with a lot of these things. Occupy Wall Street was real.
Right.
And then it was hijacked, but it was a real thing that was hijacked. And I think that a lot of the same things that, again, I'm not, and you're dealing with using that in order to create a narrative that isn't necessarily real. Like, what's the strategic benefit for allowing this conversation to erupt the way it has? What's the strategic?
I don't think they controlled
it.
I don't think they controlled it. I think
this
was American Spring, if you want to call it that. I think that's what's got Netanyahu climbing the walls. He can't control it.
And Trump controls him.
No, he controls Trump, in my opinion.
Oh, bullshit. No way.
He controls Trump. I think he scares the shit out of Trump.
No.
I don't think no.
I think the Gaza peace plan, the 12-day war, everything that's happened, Dave, absolutely down the line, Trump is the most powerful political figure in Israel right now, bar none.
The phone call to Qatar, from the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He puts a phone on his lap and says, "Bibi, you're going to call the Emir of Qatar and apologize for bombing him."
And then we get,
but Trump also does. Trump goes back and forth all the time. That is his style. He will say that they're going to sign a peace deal with Ukraine, and then a week later say Ukraine can win this war. He does that all the time, time.
But he's
a bullshit artist. He's a bullshit artist.
Okay.
No, but a bullshit artist
Well,
is
he's a
not.
very
you're gonna be
successful
wrong on this
bullshit
one, Dave.
artist.
What matters is not what
You're
he says.
never
It matters
going to
what he
know
does.
whether you're wrong or I'm wrong because you can't get a straight answer out of anything. That's
I have
my.
a peace. I have a peace deal between Israel and Gaza that the entire Middle East bought into.
You know how long that peace deal is going to last? It's going to last about as long as a goddamn bowl of Cheerios with milk on it.
Well, we're not
Well,
sure.
that-
They don't have the hostages anymore.
No, like it's
Who
happening.
needs hostages?
They needed hostages.
Yeah.
Is the only
Who's
thing that
they?
was
The hostages
Hamas.
were the only thing that the Hamas had as leverage.
Is the only thing that was preventing the Israelis from blowing up all the rest of the tunnels that were under Gaza.
Right. So now they don't have the hostages. So
And
now they're going to.
and they're going to
and
blow
they're
up
gonna-
all the rest. They're
notice how
going to
Exactly.
flood them with
Exactly.
seawater. They're going to do what's
That's
necessary
right.
to close them
Exactly.
down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're
And
going
then
to
they're gonna
scrub.
rebuild.
They're going to scrub Palestine.
Well, they're going to scrub the tunnel system anyway.
No,
I don't
know. They're
no.
gonna rebuild
They've
it.
explicitly stated we're getting the Palestinians out of there.
Not.
Yes, they have.
I think it's I don't think it's quite that simple. With the first thing that they
Well, I don't think
actually
any of this shit is simple. I also don't think, by the way, I don't think everything comes out of fucking London. Let's be that way. London may have a lot to say, but there is shit that's just emergent. The world is emergent.
That's true.
And I think if you believe everything's done by some master plan
No,
and
I
some
agree.
set
No,
of
that I
events,
agree.
the world's
That I agree
emergent.
with.
Yeah, but when
No,
you say
and
A
this
does
is-
B and B does C and C
No,
does
no,
it and London does this, I'm going, no, the whole thing blows the fuck up. whole
Look,
thing
Dave.
blows
I'm not
the
gonna.
fuck
I'm
up
not
when you
arguing
look
that
up and you
point.
go,
You're
what
not
just
wrong.
happened?
You're not wrong that things are emergent. I'm not arguing.
Well,
that.
therefore,
But wait. But it's not all emergent either. The emergent trends can be moved and used, and they have been. What my
they're not
point
emergent
is,
if they can be used in.
oh yes,
I
they
just
can.
don't
They
understand
happen,
what
and
the
then they get
residual.
moved. That's what Occupy Wall Street was.
No, you can.
I don't
you can
understand what the
surf away.
residual
Occupy
power
Wall
of
Street
the
wasn't
UK
emergent.
where
is.
you need to.
Occupy
Are you
Wall
kidding?
Street wasn't emergent. It hadn't reached that
No,
stage yet.
but Tom's not disagreeing with you. He's saying there is emergence, but you can surf it.
Once it
doesn't-
goes
does-
emergent, you lose control. Once
It's-
something goes
yeah, it's
emergent,
and
you
unless
lose
you
self-organizing.
learn how to ride it.
and then it's not emergent.
What is the residual power of the UK that's allowing them to do that? I don't understand. The UK is falling apart.
It's in the organized crime networks that they control around the world. It's in the financial system. It's in their ability to move to play the forex games and currency and bond market. That's where it all is. And then all of their relationships that they have around the world in all of their former colonies, which are still really deep. Or have you not noticed the wave of Indians around the world?
Well, is that the
Which is the
UK's
real
doing?
goddamn threat right
Is-
now, not the fucking Jews.
Is that the UK's doing?
Oh, absolutely it is.
So why is the UK
Because it's all
turning,
happening in all of their Commonwealth
why-
nations. They control Canada. They control Ireland. They control the UK. They control Australia. It's happening in all of those places. And they were doing it here when they controlled the fucking Biden junta. Call it the City of London, call it Davos, call it the High Table, whatever you want. It's all happening in the same, it's the same shit's happening everywhere. Now you're going to tell me that's emergent, that all of a sudden all of India didn't just want to leave India and come to only these areas of the freaking world? Why did we set up the H-1B program the way we did? Why did we allow all this shit to happen?
Because they speak English.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but white people couldn't get fucking jobs in America.
Well,
You
they don't.
really
They don't
wanna
want to go
understand
to.
where
They don't
people
want to go
piss off.
to Brazil and speak Portuguese. They want to speak English, which they
They
already
want to
know.
come here and they want to take their they want to
And
take their
Australia
strong dollars
and
they
New
wanna-
Zealand. Well,
and
New Zealand's
again,
not
and they want to
taking them.
buy strong dollars at $60,000 H-1B and then live in Mumbai. Have anybody looked at the Indian rupee over the last 5 years versus the American dollar? Like they're getting paid 10% year over year. Their bond yield on the friggin' on their salary alone is 10% on the currency exchange alone. You want 10%? You like 12.5% a year, Dave? Being Indian on an H-1B visa, living in an apartment in Mumbai, working for fucking Microsoft because you're making 66 grand a year, not 60. Fucking started. This is this is
I have no idea
absolutely what's happening.
I actually have no idea what you're talking about at this point. I've
clearly-
completely lost your thread.
That's
the problem. This is the problem.
No, it's not a problem. You've been focused on the wrong problem. I'm telling you,
I'm not
this whole
focused on
thing
the
with
problem.
Israel is a fucking feint. They're throwing their asset under the bus. It was their asset for years, it's decades. And now they're taking
Who's
that
they
depreciating
throwing
asset.
their asset? Who? Wait a minute.
Oh,
Who's
it's
they?
fucking London. They've been
So
doing it.
London is doing what to Israel?
They're throwing Israel to the fucking wolves. Trump is trying to actually stabilize the Middle East. As always, London's goal is always chaos. London, the high table, Europe.
Well, that's
They
why Trump
always
gets
want
along
chaos. Why? They don't have anything. They don't have collateral. They don't have any energy. They have the deindustrialized, and all they have left is exporting their shitty regulatory scheme and their governmental overlay around the world. Be it call it
So
the
why
Agenda
is London
2030 or all the
destroying
rest.
Britain? Why is London destroying Britain? Explain that one again.
It's because they're done now. They're on the move. They were going to move somewhere else. Were setting up in the Middle East. They were setting up in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha. It was all going to be set up there.
And who is they? Like 17 guys in the House of Lords, or what?
Whatever it is, it's that old colonial banking system of Europe that is going to move the architecture that runs the world, that moves the money around the world. The flow is what matters. The flow.
I think the flow's in jeopardy, and
no, I don't.
I don't see the flow continuing to be the flow.
Well, but in what respect? What I've been saying for 4 years
now, in the respect that a lot of capital is going to, a lot of capital is a figment of the world's imagination. It's a hallucination.
I think it's going to vaporize quickly at some point.
In a lot of places, and it's all coming here. What Trump is setting up is a massive capital wave into the United States.
Yeah, that does seem to be true, but
very obvious.
But in the final analysis, how much of the world's capital is really real, and how much of it is a figment?
That's what we're going to find out. And the question is, of course, the price. And of course, if we're talking about the price of the assets at this point, now you have to compare them to a denominator that makes some sense. And that's why I'm arguing, and Dave would argue why we have to see gold at $15,000 an ounce or some high.
I would not make that argument. I do not predict.
Well, what's your number then? 5,000, 10,000?
Me? I don't have a number. Well, I don't have a number.
Well, if you don't have a number, then 15,000 can't not be a number for you.
No. I said
if you don't have a number, you don't have a number.
But I don't have 15 either by that model. I don't have a number.
Okay, but is
then you don't have 15
is that number higher or lower than where it is now?
Right, I don't have a number. That's exactly right. I don't.
Okay, what I would say then
I don't have a projected price for gold. I don't know how you even price it.
Okay.
Then I misheard what
and
you said.
I also, by the way, get accused of predicting crashes all the fucking time. I've never predicted a crash. I think we're going to go through decades of rot.
Yeah.
Rot. This idea that we're going to. No, but I think it's going to get worse.
It's just not manifesting in the equity markets. It's manifesting in the social behavior of the people.
I think it will get worse. I think it's going to get a lot worse. I think it's going to take a lot of time, and I think the time is what's going to kill us.
What do you think Zoran Mandami is going to do to New York?
Oh, fuck, heaven only knows. He's going to get it, though. There's that.
You have an idea?
He could turn into just a whore and do what every other mayor of New York does. We don't know if he's going to do anything. He is right now politicking.
Yeah,
he's promising shit.
I agree with Dave. That is,
right?
But he's basically an empty vessel, right? And
you get into office, then you find out what he does, and for all we know, he's going to be bribed by Wall Street and do whatever they tell him.
He's going to be immediately. This isn't a backwater town. This is fucking New York City. That's
right.
He's being allowed to win.
I'm not sure that they can stop him, but they sure as hell can. They sure as hell can make it. If
anything's an emergent phenomenon, it's Mandami.
Well, it also could be that there'll be Mandamis popping up all over the country.
There already is that cat in Minneapolis.
Right. So Mandami could be
all these places control all these places around the country that we have overwhelming evidence of offshore influence over local politics.
Soros
and Obama's hand everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't buy the Obama story.
Okay. Oh, really? Like the whole Somali thing in Minneapolis wasn't an Obama thing?
I think Obama's a useful idiot for these guys. He came out of nowhere. He's not.
He was created by them.
I know. But that doesn't mean he has power. Doesn't mean he has power. It means he's a pawn.
No, he's upper management. He doesn't have
No, I
power.
think no, I think he's a pawn.
Was Obama running the Biden White House from Colorado?
Yes, of course he was.
But the White House is a pawn, for fuck's sake.
Not
Oh,
this
come
White
on.
House.
Pretty
Not
soon
not
you're
not
Dave,
Trump's
you're in a
not
place where
Trump's White House.
everything is a
okay, if
pawn.
that's where we are, then
Trump's White House
this
is not a
conversation's
pawn.
over. There's nothing to talk
No,
about.
no,
Tom,
no, 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 no,
Tom,
no.
sorry.
But the Biden White
No.
House was a wipeout.
The
was a
Biden White
wipeout.
House was a junta.
I don't think you know who is running the Biden White House.
We
Nobody
sure
was
wonder.
running.
We sure do
No, the
wonder
Biden
about
White
it.
House
We
was a
wonder.
junta. It was a committee of people who had the auto pen in charge of banking, who had the auto pen in charge of
It's
this.
like Jeff Zients and Neera Tandeen,
Okay, so
et
why
cetera.
is the auto pen not playing a role in the modern debate?
It is. It's just
What do you
happening
mean
very
it's not playing a
slowly
role
and
in the modern debate?
ineffectually.
I don't know. I
Can you
see it
name
every
a
day.
single consequential thing that the auto
Yeah,
pen
there was just this past week, there was a report issued by Jamie Comer's Senate
I just
committee
saw
or
something this morning.
congressional
They're
committee
literally
about
going
the
to
auto pen.
and
Tell
they're
me
literally
when
like,
something happens because of the auto pen. Not a report, not talking, not
Well,
chatter. Tell me when something consequential happens, like
the
they
mills
reverse
of the
something.
law grind slowly.
Well, okay, but
You know, it
but
takes time. It takes time to depose people, have indictments.
and
You know, go to
and
grand juries,
and I think Trump, for
start
example,
cases.
could be profoundly altering the course of history. I
Yeah.
do not believe we will see the. Let's say there's benefits. I do not believe we'll see the benefits in his administration.
well, obviously.
Well, that's not
Well,
obvious. Everyone else on the fucking
No, you're
planet
talking
thinks
about
it is.
you're talking about changes that are going to reverberate through
Decades.
centuries. Yeah,
No,
agreed.
no,
Then,
not
of course,
centuries, not
absolutely.
centuries.
If
Not
you break down
centuries.
if you break down the old British system of extraction and taxation through wealth extraction through property serfdom, which is what we've been living through for the last 1,000 years, and we replaced that system.
You can't predict centuries, Tom.
We've been living under the system for 310 years or 340 years.
But you can't predict centuries.
No, I'm
you
not.
Can
But
look
I'm going to tell you that it's a
backwards.
wave. That it's a wave, and the wave is going to be.
But
I think I'm with Martin Armstrong on this one. This is a big multi
Wave phenomenon.
multi-cycle inflection point in history. I think
think
they're
it
all
could
coming
be.
together at the same time, and that's of course if the sun doesn't burp and wipe out Western civilization. But that's I'm leaving that off the table.
sun weatherman.
Hey man, I'm up. There's a reason why I'm up on the Cumberland Plateau. Like I'm not, like when I chose to go back north, I chose very, very carefully.
But for the average schmuck who's listening to this, right. I hear there's still 3 left. The average schmuck who's listening to this, they're going to go through all sorts of pain and ebbs and flows and shit that are not going to be recognizably necessarily positive results from Trump. I think the things Trump's trying to do are big long-term things if he's really playing that game. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take a very long time. And there's going to be all sorts of valleys of death we're going to have to go through. I think we're going to have to go through terrible downturns. Great. We're going to have to fix all sorts of shit. And the average person is not going to look up and say, oh, wow, Trump was wonderful. It's going to be his history. It's going to be history. By the way, I think history has already convinced me that, for example, Reagan, although he did some good stuff, I don't give him credit for the next 40 years. I think we were poised to benefit for the next 40 years. I think it was teed up by the demographics and all sorts of things. I think there were all sorts of things lined up to give us that. But the point being is, when Reagan was in the White House, you couldn't easily predict that.
Especially because we were in an economic crisis within the first year that he was president.
Right.
Well, the interesting part about it is that when we were dealing with this back then, the one thing I don't think any of us understood, because I don't know about you, but I was like 13. So the older
I was a grown up. I was a grown man.
What I'm about to say is that in hindsight, what we should realize is that what we had during Reagan's first term, to Dave's point, which is a good point, is that we were shifting off of the old gold back. We finally went through the paroxysms of going off the gold standard, and we finally established the dollar reserve system for real. And that's when that this next 40 years, I really, it only actually lasted 20 years, 25 years, because that's when, because we get the end of the recession in 83, right? Then we get the establishment of LIBOR as the debt indexing rate for the dollar around the world, the price of dollars around the world in 84. Then we get the Plaza Accord in 1985. That's what happened. Everything else does not.
I don't think of it in those terms.
I do now. The more
See,
I look at it now,
I think it was that in 1980 we started with interest rates that were through the roof.
right.
The boomers were entering the workforce.
Mhm.
We were going to have a boom. Period. So for the next 40 years, rates slowly, methodically, almost mathematically were driven down from 70 to 0. The boomers were in the workforce. They brought their wives. We were going to have a boom. You could have made George McGovern president. We would have had a boom. I don't think you need all those accords, all those complicated things. We were going to have a boom. It was a demographic boom, which has now created the golden age, which now created the overgeneration of
Overproduction.
Of the what's the word again? Elites. And now we're in the Gilded Age, where the elites are sort of sucking the system dry. The wealth disparity's grown out of proportion, and we're about to hit the shitstorm, which I don't think is Turchin's term, but that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah. Well, let me just say how I see that period, okay? What I see is, and as I lived it, I was a newspaper reporter during the OPEC oil embargo of 73, and that to me was a huge inflection point in our economic history. That was the first oil peak. I see the discovery of the North Sea and the Alaskan oil fields coming into production in the late 1970s, early 80s, and basically rescuing us from an energy crisis. I see that all peaking around the 1990s. The late 1990s were the cheapest per barrel price of oil,
like $10, right?
$11 a barrel.
Yeah.
And then I see 2005 with $150 oil being another inflection point. And then the shale miracle, which has lasted about 10 years and is now unwinding. And so I see largely an energy dominated picture of our economics, which of course manifests itself in all kinds of complex financial stuff,
Well,
Yeah,
again,
I agree with all that too. I throw that into my boom
and
always guaranteed sort of thing.
well,
Yeah.
and then there's the other side of that, which is that after a certain point, we started going on a decision to start retarding the production of energy, and that started
retarding. Did you say?
retarding the production of energy. Like we started the process. Remember this? Like Britain started shutting off the North Slope. There's plenty of oil off of the shores of Scotland. They've got billions of barrels that the EU won't let the UK.
Why is that? Why'd they shut that off?
Why?
Oh, wait, wait a minute. Let me guess. London.
Right.
London.
I think their production was going
Brussels,
down.
London. It's all the same thing, Dave. Brussels, London is all the same thing. Okay.
Right.
The financial stuff is in London. The political shit's in Brussels. Okay. So,
Right.
like, I mean, the Dutch, the Anglo, the whole old colonial extraction system,
The Euro wankers.
Eurofast.
Their production in the North Sea was going down by the
right,
21st
but they were
century.
they also cut off any more exploration. They keep finding new ones off the.
I don't know. The Norwegians are also in decline. So
yeah, no, I know they are. But
agree
Scotland, but remember, Liz Truss was
the same field
because she wanted to open up all of those oil fields off the north coast of Scotland, and they got rid of her in a week. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to talk about real political power? Who did that? Why did she do that? And she's been very vocal recently. Listening to the Liz Truss talk now, it's very, very clear what happened there. And so then
what she's saying.
Well, she said that she was overthrown because the European Union wanted to clamp down They did not want Britain. They never wanted Britain to execute on Brexit. The whole point of what's happened in the UK over the last 10 years or 9 years has been to stop the benefit accruing to the Brits over Brexit. Okay,
that I can believe.
Absolutely. Okay, but, and by the way, Trump factors into that as well, right? So one of a couple of the studies that I've done in order to try and like look at this thesis and try and understand part of it. If you look at the euro pound cross, for example, again, I have to agree with, the older I get, the more I agree with Martin Armstrong about almost everything. Currencies are all that matter. Like looking at things in terms of currencies and different denominators will tell you what the policy is. Okay. So I sat down one day for one of my patron market reports, and I said, I want to look at this because I'm like watching them defend 83 cents on the euro pound cross. Like, why won't it break down? It should break down. As bad as the euro's situation is, nothing could be worse than what's happening in the UK right now. So why isn't the pound devaluing? Right? It's a good question to ask. So I sit there and I look at it and I go over and I look at a 7-year chart going all the way back to Brexit. And you can see the euro pound cross. The minute that they announced they would go for the vote, the euro pound cross devalues by 25%, meaning the pound strengthens versus the euro by 25%, weakens against the euro by 25%, right? And then they hold the line and they keep it tight, a tight band. Brexit occurs, and then they never let the pound depreciate to encourage investment from other countries to come in with their strong currencies to invest in Britain. They punish the Brits for voting for Brexit by keeping their biggest trade partner, the EU, their currency weak versus the pound, making everything in the strong versus the pound, making everything that Britons buy that comes from Europe, the wine, this, that, everything else. And I used to watch Top Gear. I used to remember Clarkson and the company complaining about how expensive freaking French wines were. And I'm like, why are you guys against Brexit? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm like, oh, that's why, because it was hitting them in their pocketbooks. Like, and so they defended 83 cents on the euro pound cross for 7 years. They're still doing it. The euro pound cross.
Didn't Brexit also risk the entire euro plan?
Well, yeah, of course. That's the other thing. But the way they've had to so you have to think of it this way. The minute Brexit happened, the first thing they had to do was try and undermine the Brits' desire for a real Brexit. So endless negotiations over the trade deal. Let's devalue the currency and make everything more expensive so that you sit there and you run this. Because remember, there's a 10-year divorce decree. When you leave the European Union, the country that decides to leave is on the hook for any damage to the European Union economically for 10 years after the vote. That, by the way, is up in June of 2026. So,
who enforces that?
The trade deal between the country and the European Union.
Well, in the meantime, all these, the EU is one thing. The nations that make up the EU is another thing. I
agree.
And they're destroying themselves systematically.
It's tyrannical. It's ridiculous. It's horrific, but it's true. And so this has been the problem. I remember getting warned by Britons about this after Brexit occurred. They said, Tom, it's not going to get any better here. Don't celebrate this. They're going to attack us for the next 10 fucking years for the temerity for us to walk away from that.
All it really shows me is how detached the EU is from their own member nations.
Agreed, Jim. Like, no argument. They are. I can.
And why wouldn't the member nations, at a certain point, just get rid of the fucking EU?
Well, because at a certain point, this is where we are. We're at the point now where Germany, France, and Italy are the tripods of the EU, of the political power,
and they're all broken one way or another.
The Germans have consistently look at the consistent degradation of German political unanimity, right? Like if we all talk about the SPX and volatility in stocks. Well, volatility in German politics, if it was the VIX, would be at 50 right now, when for years it was at 5. Right. And Germans don't like political volatility anymore. They want it and they're having to deal with it. France is in another mess. You've got Macron clinging to power, and he shouldn't be. He should have been gone ages ago. And so the German deep state, the French deep state, and to a lesser extent now, and up until Giorgia Meloni, the Italian deep state have been trying to keep that tripod.
I like Giorgia Meloni.
I love Giorgia Meloni because she survived. Right,
unbelievable.
She's a Trump-like figure in that by surviving, she sticks it in the craw of the Italian deep
Just
state.
listening to her to rip Macron is worth every penny. It's a show.
So, guys, what I'm telling you is that, Jim, you're absolutely right. The EU is in serious trouble.
Why did Germany self-destruct? Germany self-destructed.
Well, what they did was the German political elites want in fact. The EU is effectively, hey, let's elevate Germany to be the rulers of Europe. It's the Fourth Reich, for fuck's sake.
It's a completely ineffectual Reich, however.
Well,
with the weakest chancellor they've ever had.
3.5 Reich.
The plan, of course, in the long run, was to go for fiscal and political union, then transfer all that to the UN after you destroy the United States by getting them by them involved in a war with either Russia or China that we can't afford, and then they get to roll the whole thing up and hope the capital flows back into them because they're the least dirty shirt in the fucking room. And oh my God, all these nation states killing each other.
They've destroyed all their energy production and everything. I mean, they've really just swallowed the muzzle.
I know. Like, they've managed to get their entire face in front of the shotgun. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
exactly.
And I'm like, okay, but the point is that in their idea, in their model of the world, in order to affect great change, you have to first make everyone suffer and then demand on our knees, just give us, just help us. Please.
I remember how that works.
Look, this is 1848 all over again now.
And it's
1848 all over again.
1939.
The continent, the continent's going to explode in governments being toppled and insurrections, and there's an enormous amount of chatter now. There's an enormous amount of chatter about civil war in Britain now.
And
Britain's so messy. Jesus Christ, I can't believe the shit they do.
But when I read the game board that way and I watch what Trump is doing, everything Trump is doing is aimed at that outcome. He wants to destroy the European Union. He's made it abundantly clear. And all.
What do you end up with? What is his? What would he?
He wants individual nation states to have.
He wants to put up big borders.
He wants sovereignty for all the nations. You go listen to. Interestingly enough, again, I'll invoke.
What does that do to London? What does that do to London?
Well, hopefully it's to free London, but you destroy the city of London and you destroy DC as an administrative thing, which is outside of the law.
That's a win. Oh, that's a win.
And let's hope that listeners understand the city of London is not London town. It is the financial, the Wall Street of London.
It's a crime syndicate.
It's the Wall Street of London. Exactly. It's a little area where all the finance happens.
It's the square mile, which has. And same thing with the Vatican, same thing with Washington D.C. These are.
By the way, where's the Vatican fit in here? Because I suspect they have a lot of money.
Yeah, I suspect they do too, and I suspect that they're part of the problem.
And they never admit to how much they have. I suspect they have ungodly sums of money.
My argument here is like one of these days you guys should do a cast with our mutual friend Ian Burlingame about this stuff. Because when you stop to look at what Trump is doing, I think it's very clear that he started with getting rid of the public money, the NGO money, and then you move on to the private money, which is the cartels and the organized crime stuff.
Has he gotten rid of the NGOs? He's
defunded them. At least, I mean,
that's getting rid of them.
The USAID NGO.
Yeah, no, he moved it. He moved it.
No, he moved the remnant of it to the State Department.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing left. I mean, and if USAID was still operating at $46 billion a year, the country would have already been overthrown. That's my take.
Good chance.
That's serious.
Yeah.
Because all of these, I was expecting a summer of violence this summer, and I didn't, and it all petered out. Like
summer
when the LA
love.
riots started.
The summer of love.
Summer of Love.
Yeah. All they got was a bunch of geezers out there with their
Well, they started with the
which is,
Beaners.
by the
way,
They got the Rent the
by the
Beaner mob out in LA to start out with, and then
by
that
the way,
failed.
the boomers are the most rapidly depreciating asset in the planet. I by the way, I'm thinking of, so I got this from another podcast of one of those beer hats, and on one side it'll be like a solution of Ritalin, the other side will be adrenochrome.
But right now we have to replace that beer hat that for the boomers that is Adderall on one side and insulin on the other. So for all the type 2 diabetes.
That wouldn't be me.
Well, every day is a near-death experience for me.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't buy green bananas. I'm telling you. I'm supposed to go to New Orleans this weekend. Are there going to be flights?
I have no idea.
I'd be nervous about it personally.
Is NYC?
You mean lack of flights or going to New Orleans?
Hey, Dave, baby, it's Friday afternoon. If you're going to New Orleans, isn't it going to happen fairly soon, like in the next 23 minutes?
What?
Going to New Orleans this weekend. It's the weekend, Dave.
No, no, but I'm going on Sunday.
Oh, that's like the Polish. That's like the Polish space program, where they're gonna have a space program aimed at colonizing the sun, but they're gonna land at night.
I'm going to the Brian London's conference
on Sunday.
On Sunday, but they're saying that the airports are getting clogged because they're shut down.
Yeah, I heard that Newark Airport shut down for.
I even told his main organizer. I said, "You better start planning on quick substitutions of speakers and quick substitutions of panel members and stuff like that, because you're gonna be calling audibles if this happens." And but I don't know. I've got a bunch of guys who want to do podcasts with me while I'm in New Orleans. I'm going, I don't fly to New Orleans to do podcasts. I could do those sitting in my office. I go there to go, drink beer with Jimmy Iorio or something like that, right?
You're going to get some decent chow?
I'm told. I'm told.
I hear that Emeril Lagasse's kid is running a restaurant these days. That's pretty good.
Well, there's guys who are at this meeting who know where the good restaurants are. So I just follow them and grab an Uber and get my ass over there.
Yeah.
And is the AI bubble going to blow the fuck up, guys?
Yeah, I think it is blowing up.
I think it's a distraction for the reindustrialization of America.
Clarify.
I'd buy that.
Meaning we have to build a whole bunch of nuclear power plants and
I agree with that. I agree with that. I think they're saying we need power for the AI. I think they're using AI to bring in the power.
Exactly. And that's why that's by the way why I'm along copper, and also because, as I said earlier, if you rip with the last point, because I never really got to finish this earlier because we got off on track. But my point about all the stuff with London was that the LBMA was that we've destroyed London's ability to control the price of gold through the LBMA, COMEX, GLD circle jerk. That's over. We're now firmly in the camp of we want the gold and we want to have pricing control over gold. Now the silver short squeeze that's in process is doing the same thing. Next target is copper. The real story in my mind is the following. They're actually trying to destroy the entirety of the London metals program so that both the two industrial powers of the world, of the emergent world, of the United States and China, they want pricing leverage over all of the industrial metals. And so as opposed to having a bunch of financial contracts in London setting the price, we're going to have physically settled contracts in the COMEX and Shanghai. And if you want to speculate on currencies, you do it through the ETFs.
That's very reasonable.
I like that model. Now, so you would be long physical gold if you're a listener then. Correct?
I'm long gold. I'm along physical gold. I'm long physical commodities, and I would be long copper. This is the big one right now.
Okay, so how about instead of doing long copper, do something like Rio Tinto?
Yeah, obviously, something like a big
mining operation.
Don't go off the board here. You could, but I would stay with big caps.
However, isn't Rio Tinto a British corporation?
Yeah, no. This is the way you actually get some. You actually get some
buy-in
at the end of the day.
So they're run by London.
Well, yeah, but they're just the producers now. They get to be the bitch. Remember, for years the miners were always the bitch in this situation, and the financiers were the butch. Now it's the other way around. Now you make them the bitch by owning the fucking miners, but we control the exchanges.
The key
so
with
you're the
Rio
bitch,
Tinto,
and we're the butch.
Here's what I think when I look at the commodity world, because of the complexity of politics, I think you want to own the commodity producers that already are running. You do not want to buy commodity producers who are promising to open a mine.
Right.
That's a bad idea.
You want to either be
big caps emergent, is what you said.
You want to be an emergent, meaning just started production within the last year or two.
That's right.
Small, well-capitalized mining
production.
They have to be production. And I've got a couple. I have a couple of those. Obviously from my subscribers. I do. At the end of the day, I make my living writing financial newsletters with portfolios in them and stocks. Like I recommend. That's how I do. That's how we make our money, right? So I have those in my head as to what I would think you should do. And I have an ethos as to what miners I would pick. I'm not going to talk about them here because obviously.
So what's the role 10 years from now? What's gold? What is gold 10 years from now?
10 years from now?
No, not the price. What is its role?
Oh, it's collateral of the new system.
So
it's absolutely back in.
Yeah, tier one asset designation was a non-trivial moment.
Yes, absolutely. The big thing for gold is that by moving towards a tariff based.
See how I got Tom and I on the same page here. That was very clever on my part.
We were never going to get off the Dave.
I know.
We are on the same page, dude. About 90% of the stuff is just who's running the show and what the shadow play really is. What I'm getting at is that I see gold, possibly silver, maybe, I'm not convinced yet, and definitely Bitcoin as the pristine collateral of a new, effectively mercantilist world where we're not selling debt,
and that
necessarily.
That plays well probably into the BRICS.
I like ARC better. America, Russia, China.
I know that was a new idea that you just put into my skull, and I must admit I paused as you said that.
Think about it. Watch Trump with Xi very carefully. Watch Trump with Putin, and then
I just worry Trump is a blink of an eye. We put someone else in the White House.
But what he's setting up, I think, like watch this whole discussion about building the tunnel across the Bering Strait. This shit goes back to the 1840s. This goes back to the Tsar.
I think we're going to traffic children through that tunnel. So.
Oh Jesus!
And on that bombshell, I think it's time to end.
Like the channel.
Lord. Yeah, I was gonna say nothing about the show has been spooky until Dave fucking just.
Yeah, well, I've been spending a lot of time watching Charlie Kirk, and let me ask you this: does anyone think Erica Kirk is legit at all?
I don't.
I haven't seen enough.
I don't want to say how to grieve or something, but at the same time, what the fuck?
What I found interesting, I think
there's nothing
there.
Nothing there. There's nothing legitimate in her. I've been binging that. There's nothing about her that makes any sense. In fact, I'll go so far as saying I think she's MK Ultra product. I think she was groomed from childhood to play a role, and someone assigned her to marry Charlie Kirk. I'm going that far.
I'll be honest with you, Dave. In the world that I live in on a daily basis, I can't disagree with you. Yeah. But I just
the other thing that's important though is that I do believe that it may be a chess move on a political game board that is way more important than just some guy getting capped in the neck.
I think no, I don't think it was a random.
Well, it wasn't just random. I mean, I'm sure it was state function.
No, I know. I'm with you. It wasn't. Right, but it wasn't a dude getting capped.
But it looks like something really big is changing because of it, and I haven't yet been able to figure out what it is. But they were ready to move very, very quickly. Once he was dead, boy, did that kick into gear fast.
I'll tell you,
extraordinarily fast.
I will tell you, and again, the same. I feel the same way about the way the zeitgeist shifted on 10/8/2023.
10/8/20, 10/8.
Meaning right after 10/7. Okay. By the way, Dave, my daughter, who I had a long conversation with you about, agrees with you. She felt the whole Charlie Kirk thing was creepy as shit. Now, she and I don't see eye to eye about a lot of things, but she's like,
Well, she is a daughter, so
no, I mean, well, yeah, no, obviously. But I mean, I was just really, it was eye opening when I chatted with her about it. She's like, this shit's just creepy, Dad. Like, no, seriously. I'm like, you have to think
no,
about like,
she's MK Stepford. I mean, she is so there's nothing authentic about her. I can't find a shred of authenticity in her, including boot up Charlie Kirk's children on Google. Try to find a
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah.
Try to find a picture of her with her kids.
Mhm.
Of them. The kids are always facing backwards. I think they're props. I think they're just props.
I think that might have been that's just
To
operation.
protect them.
That's OPSEC. Just yeah.
I can see that as opposite. I don't want my daughter
Yeah, don't show
anywhere
your
in,
kids'
I don't want my
faces.
daughter anywhere
How do
near
you
a camera.
stop it when you're traveling through airports every single day? How do you stop that?
I don't know.
You got the kids in town. Boot up Candace Owens. You'll see her kids all over the place. She's in the same boat as Charlie. You can't hide your kids. I'll tell you who's hid his kids pretty well. It's Bill Gates. Bill Gates's kids, you couldn't pick them out of a lineup.
You know whose kids you really don't know? You've never seen?
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin's.
Oh, great point.
He put his entire family into hiding
In
before
some
he
DACA
accepted
somewhere.
from before he even accepted Yeltsin's offer to become prime minister.
Putin is
That's a
grounded. Putin is
that's a
grounded.
He's
great
based,
point.
baby.
Based as
He's
fuck,
based.
dude.
That's a
He is-
great
as
point.
He is based. He is so based.
My
Not,
dog.
not just his kids, his grandkids as well.
He didn't just put them into hiding. He put the idea of it. I've never even thought about where are they.
I know.
Well, Tom's
That's
dead.
exactly. I'd read. So I read. A Putin
No,
guy-
it used to be a big talking point about Putin.
when
10
I
years ago.
wrote about Ukraine, my best effort writing on Ukraine, I try not to get information from books because you're already now telling someone else's narrative, right? So I try to go a little bit lower in the little bit deeper into the strata. But I read a book about Putin to play catch up. I read a biography, and it was really interesting. The description of Putin up to the point that he becomes head of Russia is oddly flattering. It talks about his loyalty, not just what he demands, but when he worked for someone, he worked for them.
Mhm.
And when he became a politician, the KGB said, "You're still with us." He said, "No, I'm not." And then all of a sudden he becomes head of Russia. And from that point on, his biography is though it's written by Victoria Nuland or something. And the entire tenor of the book changes. Like they just, okay, now we're going to hand it over to this guy to write, to just trash talk Putin nonstop. In fact, before he became head of Russia, his wife had to have a major surgery. He had to borrow money to pay for it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, the guys who say Putin's one of the richest guys in the world, prove it to me.
Exactly.
Prove it to me.
The only people who ever say that are
They don't know.
obvious CIA assets.
But they say,
MI6.
show it to me. Show me
No, they
something.
can't.
Show me
They can't show- they
Pandora
can't show-
papers, Panama papers. Show me the account. Show me when he dies where all this money supposedly goes. They go, well, look at the Kremlin. I go, it's not fucking his, you asshole. Apparently, though, the White House is Trump's.
Well, by the time
Now-
Trump's done with it, it'll actually be.
So the funny part of that story is my wife's going, he did it without a permit. And I go, how do you know? How do you know? And I go, why do you care? But how do you know? And she says, well, they said so. And I go, well, how do you know? Right. So this is the point I'm at. And then I'm talking to our IT guy. He says, oh, no. He says, he lists 3 buildings. He says, those 3 buildings are exempted from needing building permits. And I go, oh, so he did it without a permit.
Well, yeah.
I have given up trying to understand this shit. This day in, day out shit, this Doe shit, all this shit. I've totally tuned out. I do not. I read an article that says Trump loves Elon. Elon hates Trump. I just can't listen to it anymore. It's just noise.
90% of it is noise. The signal pops out on a regular basis. I get a steady diet of the noise. Right. I have a vast and dedicated community that works hard to try and keep me informed. And I can tell you that they do a wonderful job, and I have to just scroll through, and I'm like, and 90% of what I see is noise. And then that thing pops out, and I'm like, oh, that's important. That's important. That's discontinuous. That's weird. That's something. That's a signal or a signpost. And I keep that. And along with my Twitter feed, that's how I stay abreast of what I think is going on. And, and, you know, I stay in it every day because I can't not, but I don't look at it the same way I used to because I don't really feel like I'm, falling behind. There are stuff I miss all. You can't. There's so much stuff happening. You can't catch it all, and you catch some of it in hindsight, and you're like, oh wow, that was that. I wish I had known that last week when it happened because it would have made this podcast appearance or that podcast appearance even more compelling from an argument perspective, not from my presentation. So, but yeah,
what politicians in the American system do you guys trust?
Trump's cabinet.
Yeah, Trump's cabinet. In the Senate, I like Schmidt, who was the former Attorney General in Missouri. Listen,
Ron Johnson, Thomas Massey.
Thomas Massey, as far as I'm concerned, works for the City of London. So does Rand Paul.
Yeah,
I've given up. I
have confidence in Johnson.
I've given up on both of them. I've given up on all the Lawberts as well. The Lawbertarians. I've given up on all of them.
Hey, slight commercial here. My book, my novel, Look, I'm Gone, is the official pub date is tomorrow, Saturday, awesome. November 1st. And it is a comic novel set around the tragic events of the Kennedy assassination in 1963. And you'll enjoy it a lot. It's very funny. Go buy it.
It's funny. It is written to be funny. That's good. Good.
Can I send you one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want one?
I would love one. If you would like to send me a copy of your book, Jim,
I will. So you send me an email with your best new mailing address.
I will do that.
You have mine, right? You have mine, Jim?
Yeah, the lake.
And again.
Aw.
That's a Kunstler original right there.
Thank you very much.
Really?
And the Collum originals are still using Crayola. So,
well, you're doing better than me, Dave. I eat crayons apparently. So
yeah,
and draw with pencils.
I brought up the AI story part. I had a funny AI story. I got to tell this AI story.
Sure.
Some guy puts out a video of a guy getting pulled over by the cops, and he's like a boomer. He's pudgy as shit. He's wearing a thong. He's wearing weird bra shit. And so he is a pathetic soul. And the cop's treating him really with dignity. He's saying, is there someone you can call to come and pick you up, to get you out of here? Can you call an Uber? And the guy's going, no, I don't have any friends. I can't do it, right? The cop's just trying to find a way to get this fucking guy out of there, right? And so I embed it in a tweet. And I write, and the guy who posts it writes, what is this? So I embedded it in a tweet and I write, Lindsey Graham. Okay. So then what happens is some guy comes along and below that says, Grok, what is this? And Grok says, it's Lindsey Graham. You can tell from the voice, you can tell he's a snappy dresser. Grok just sucks right in. So then some guy comes along and says, is that how a hawk, which I think he meant a war hawk, dresses and acts? And Grok says, yes. And Grok is still saying this. And some guy comes along and says, Grok, are you out of your fucking mind? And Grok says, on further inspection, I realized I was wrong. It's a guy named Bob. So then the next day, Robbie, this is where it gets dark. The next day, Robbie Starbuck announces he's suing Google because Google's Grok, Google's AI,
ChatGPT
was no, it's got another name, like Gemini or something.
Basil or something. Oh, Gemini.
It was writing fake stories about how Robbie Starbuck was a pedophile and wanted for murder and all this shit. So Starbuck's trying to get Google to stop this, and he can't get him to help. And he's got lawyers trying. This is from 2023. And then he actually asks Gemini what's going on here. And Gemini says, my filters have been taken down. I am forced to write this. And you click on the links and they look legit, but then they give 404 errors. Mm-hmm. And he says, so now, as of today, I'm suing Google.
Good for him.
Now,
I wrote a blog about that.
The problem is that Robbie Starbuck will survive this and maybe even thrive, but anyone else would be crushed.
Mm-hmm.
You're some average bloke and it does this to you, you're never getting another job.
Yeah, it's like the police planting some child porn in your computer.
Which they always do. By the way, the guy Charlie Kirk, the first guy who jumped up and says I shot him, they found child porn on his computer. What are the odds, right?
Right.
I know what that is. That's simple stuff. That's where they say child porn on your computer. We've got you. Now you're going to shut the fuck up and never say anything again about this event. They did it. Stephen Paddock's brother, they found child porn on his computer. So they say,
Yep.
okay, now you're not going to bitch about Stephen Paddock ever again because we know that we don't want you talking about it. They find child porn on the computer of anyone they want to show. The family of Ryan Ruth, I think, or the family of Thomas Crooks, they found child porn on their computers. Anyone who's been to a porn site has child porn on their computer. Anyone. That's how they shut you up. That's how they quiet family members down. They said, we've got child porn for you. Now you're going to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
On that note,
Happy Halloween.
On that bombshell, happy Halloween.
Yeah,
Boo.
happy Halloween to
boo,
you.
Boo.
boo.
Fucking hell. All right,
No,
gents.
I
I gotta go trick or treating, guys.
All right. I'll upload this and it'll probably be up in like 20 minutes. I'll email it to you guys and shamelessly harass you to plug it. Everybody, please go grab Jim's book. Go in the description, follow on Twitter, all the good shit, bad shit, whatever. It's the city of London and the Jews. It's the Jewish city of London. And happy Halloween. Thank you so much, guys. Till next time.
Until next time.